SoloMid.
Yeah, and the other thing I'm keeping my eye on are the stages of Rush's gameplay. Remember, this is a guy, this is his first competitive team, and this is his first best of 5 series. This guy went from, or second, but he went from game 1, amazing Nunu, great game plan, everything went as expected, really aggressive plays, to game number 2, started getting a little bit shaky. Then game number 3, okay, I have to revert to my comfort champion, and I still had a bad early game on my comfort champion. Yeah. Can he recover from this and actually continue to play aggressively and try and play with Impact? Oh, it looks like already with the early Lulu pick, that might not be the strategy. Impact has played a lot of support champions in the top lane, Lulu and Morgana, so this is definitely a possibility for top Lulu.
Well, also with the Maokai ban, things get changed up a little bit. I have no reason to suspect Santorin doesn't go for Gragas yet again. He's been really dominant on that champion. Team SoloMid very willing to give up a variety of high priority first picks so that they can take 2 good picks on the back end time and again.
Well, once again, we're going to see Dyrus' champion pool stretched a little bit more. The Nautilus does get taken away here. Lustboy won't get his Thresh, but just pick another hook, whatever, no big deal here.
Protect Apollo?
Maybe. Thing is, he's been really good in the regular season. I haven't liked Apollo's playoff play quite as much. It concerns me a little bit.
We've seen him the vast majority of games Sivir Graves.
Yeah.
Kog'Maw is the one exception that he was not on Sivir and Graves.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting here because
they're committed to this now.
They're committed to it now.
This is 100% AP Cog.
They're also probably going to... They could also go with something like Jinx if they really wanted to and have AP Cog with the Jinx AD carry, but the protection strategy revolving around 1 or 2 carries is locked in.
Yep.
At this point, TSM, do they just pick more and more hard engage and try and bust that death ball as much as possible? They already have the makings of it.
I think
they can already split up the ball with the Gragas Assault. They can already initiate with Nautilus. It's not like this is a great counter to what TSM picked with the first 2 picks. It's just committing to a strategy.
No, I think TSM called them on this play, and they're like, you know what? You want to play defensively? I have never seen you play defensively. Try it. Let's see how you do. And they just pick a bunch of hard engage.
Yeah, every once in a while we do see Impulse play multiple supports. You're seeing the Morgana ban every single game. Like that's usually top Morg here. And they actually win games in like 25 minutes with that kind of composition from the laning phase. TSM playing more aggression here. The Urgot comes in, maybe swaps him out, who's important. The Corki for Wild Turtle. So these are not too hard engaged champions, though. TSM don't seem to be going for that.
They are...
Well, that's one of them's a hard engaged champion. He can swap someone back into their team.
I suppose.
The other is an AD carry. I think there's still... according to most of the plans here.
I guess to my thought it was like of the mid laners, like there's Diana and Fizz and like these things that really get to the back line, but you're right. Vixen can definitely start fights. Wild Turtle can definitely put damage in. So I'll retract that.
I definitely want it to... You said 1 or 2. I definitely want it to be a 2-threat team here for Impulse. Yeah. I do not think this is the type of team that survives with a 1 threat. So definitely last pick Sion would be ill-advised, as we saw yesterday.
Oh.
All right.
But a last pick, TP Smite Shyvana for some split pushing with the death ball.
A little bit more threatening.
All right, well.
What the heck?
Alistar support, Lulu mid, Nunu jungle.
Not your normal way to close out a protect the cog strategy, but not completely out of line. Alistar can still knock people back or be a good CC bot, and having a sped up Shyvana can be almost more threatening than a sped up Kog'Maw in some situations. Giving him the benefit of the doubt here.
Mm-hmm. I actually...
most AD carries would agree with you.
Yeah.
In my mind, I actually like the Alistar here. I like the Shyvana as well. Mm-hmm. Second threat, right, from the top lane, whatever. The Alistar is a hard engage because we've seen that Impulse can use it to good effect over in game 1, while still being a good bodyguard, right? Headbutt back, whatever the melee guy is. So I have to see what Impulse can do with this composition. We know where these champions are going. Team SoloMid to take some time to grab their last possible champion. It will be a Sion here, so a giant beef wall with 2 marksmen behind it.
Their whole team, actually, composed of giant beef cakes.
Which Kog'Maw is good at cutting through. And Shyvana has some decent percentage health damage as well. Not the worst composition to go up against this. I don't know if TSM wins this team comp battle super hard here.
Yeah.
It's going to be about how they play it out in the game. Although I do have to mention this series heavily going towards Team SoloMid and whether or not this is all part of some larger plan. I actually talked with Locodoco on Thursday about his predictions for this series, and he said they would lose. TSM would lose the first game and then win the next 3.
Yeah.
So we are actually 1 game away from that prediction coming true with TSM. Always adjusting in these best-of-5 series and then taking it home.
So last time we saw Bjergat, he was one of the first people focused in a lot of the team fights.
Yeah.
From Impulse. This time around, you have to choose between him and Turtle. Well, actually, the last time Turtle was on Corki as well. Never
Yeah,
mind.
well, the thing is also the first time around, he had a bunch of other ranged champions around him. This time there's a front line to soak up that and say, I dare you to engage past a Scion and a Nautilus and a Gragas. So,
And again, the Gragas for scattering these teams that rely on synergy, these teams that rely on buffing up somebody. Gragas is the perfect champion against that.
absolutely. So some risk here for TIP. Either way, guys, at home, let us know who you think's got the edge heading into Game 4. Tweet hashtag TIP win or hashtag TSM win to @LOL Esports on Twitter. Team SoloMid 1 game away from another Finals in North America. TIP looking to make their first way in. They got to win 2 in a row for it.
TSM chants always strong here. Reginald's always cheering as soon as you walk in with his giant portrait up on the side of the screen. But honestly, this one they're going to have to win with the Urgot here, something TSM was not able to do in the first game of the series. Xiao Xiao as well on a much more defensive mid laner. Again, Orianna as a somewhat defensive mid laner was the only thing he's won a game on this series.
As we said last time as well, the lane swap was a big part of why TSM got a big early lead in the last game. And already they have Turtle hovering on the top side. Impact looking for that good early jungle start for Shyvana that he got in game 1.
And Impact will get his aggressive trinket down to spot for these lanes. I'm curious to see how these various matchups
It's been spotted.
play out.
So this time around, Russian Impact, again, same story for the early start, but TSM have been alerted.
Minions have spawned.
They pinged that something's amiss here,
Impulse is
but
kind of second guessing this, it seems.
I think they have enough for it to be safe, right? There is one route in for TSM. They could theoretically stab these guys in the back, but
Base gate him.
yeah, they could base gate him, but it looks like it's not going to happen.
That would also require TSM to abandon their own start. As it stands right now, oh, Wild Turtle's going to take a lot of damage.
Oh, yes, he is.
But that pushes them off the jungle camp start right away. Russian Impact are nowhere near their jungle start. And Les Boys, he's going to delay him even further.
That's 2 minutes in the game, and Impulse have not done any jungling at all. And in fact, they've lost more health than TSM have. Now, Wild Turtle can't build a freeze anymore, but do they really care? Look at this. Les Boys going hard.
Yeah.
Nautilus, the level 1 god.
And Impact forced to smite it.
I mean,
So
he's just going to keep annoying him for the entirety of this jungle. They do not have the skills to fight back.
yeah, exactly. They shared experience on that Gromp, so neither of them got level 2. There was no possibility of a Nunu leveling up Snowball to try and chase down Nautilus out of their jungle, so he runs both of them off of the blue side.
Hold on, though. Adrian, level 2 already looking mid lane. Bjergsen will not. Ooh, good flash.
Didn't have to burn his flash on Alistair, though, so a return gank could be an easy kill if there is no backup there for Bjergsen. Les Boy's just hoping to find someone there. This is his jungle.
All right, my wolves are still here.
Yeah,
my blue
my
buff's still
wolves.
here. Everything's in order. Don't get out of line.
Man, 2 smites to 0, and Lust Boy out jungles Impulse. That's always going to be insulting. But Xiao Xiao now with a Summoner Spell lead in the mid lane, able to shield himself on Lulu, able to push in as well. Can maybe make life hard. Oddly enough, top lane is actually freezing, and I wouldn't have thought it could have, since TSM couldn't get the lane on time at the first place, but Impact not going to get much here.
These level 1s are just so peculiar, and they're consistently in the favor of Team SoloMid. Games 2 through 4 here. TSM with a great start. I mean, Santorin against double smite gets a full clear of his jungle and is guaranteed ahead of the enemy jungler.
Lustboy has flash, pulverized up into the air, but there's not a lot of damage. Follow-up is impact. And Adrian only level 2. Wild Turtle at 3. Yeah, you're not very tanky without ulti, Alistair.
Rush just now hitting level 3, a full level behind Santorin.
Yeah.
Also, Santorin has not only hit level 4, but he's been back to purchase, already upgraded the machete, and back out on the field with wards.
And that manifests as a 400 to 500 gold lead for Team SoloMid with that scoreboard up at the top side. Impact using Smite to last it a bit more. Adrian just cannot possibly help. He's only got 500 health. Gets the headbutt, pulverize, ignite on a Lustboy as well. Adrian forced a flash wave, and here comes Rush. Oh no, Wild Turtle. He gets to trinket the brush, and he can't land the auto attack. He finally does. It's a kill trade though. First blood and 1 kill for Impact.
First blood still better for Wild Turtle. He gets more gold out of that and the kill. They just have to worry about the threat of impact with that extra gold early on in the game. Santorin looking for a gank of his own. Apollo has got a flash, still gets hit.
Oh wow, does not flash at the right time. The flash E from Dyrus, the knockup's gonna land, and the AD carry goes down. Dyrus gets the kill, TSM far ahead.
Dyrus gets to play League of Legends. Uh-oh. He's on Scion. He's got the wave frozen in front of his turret.
You know, one thing that's always kind of cool about the playoffs is you get these different pocket picks depending on who has been scrimming whom. And TSM and Cloud9, since they're on opposite side of the brackets, usually are pretty good scrim partners. Consistency between these two series is the level 1 invade on support Nautilus from both Lemon Nation and Lustboy. That is definitely something that emerged with these guys in practice and has been so effective here in the LCS. They know the limits of that, and it's been working for them both.
It has been absolutely. Of course, Cloud9 waiting to join one of these two teams in the finals, and so far in Game 4, that team is looking like Team SoloMid. The Nautilus jungles maybe we'll come out in the finals here if TSM can close this one out, but of course we are still in the early game. Santorin 3 levels up on Adrian. You couldn't possibly win this fight on Alistair.
Adrian has no flash. I mean, if Santorin gets his spells back up, he could straight up kill him here.
Lustboy smells blood too. Headed in.
All right.
Adrian level 2 as support. Jeez. This early game is going heavily in the favor of TSM. The Dragon is a nice thing for them to pick up, but will not help their gold or experience.
I'm actually really curious, too, how this Scion Kog'Maw lane fares now. Because of the kill for Dyrus and the fact that they're actually even in CS.
He can kind of bully him, or he can push him in.
He's shoving him into the turret over and over. Kog'Maw, remember, central to this team because they picked up 2 tanks with the last 2 picks. Need to get him max W, need to get him to that Trinity Force and as quickly as possible.
He's lower farm than every single carry lane of TSM. He gets a solo lane for XP, at least he's leveling up, but certainly a far behind Kog'Maw here.
There are a few things we needed to judge for the success of this series for both teams. For Impulse to be successful, they needed Impact and Rush to overpressure Dyrus and Santorin and make a top lane priority a thing. That has failed in the last 2 games. Another thing Impulse needed to do was to have Xiao either match or exceed Bjergsen a little bit, since Bjergsen has more roaming responsibilities. That also hasn't happened. Both games, or all games this series, Bjergsen with a CS differential at 10. Around 13 or 14 I saw in the pregame. Everything that TSM needed to do to prevent Impulse from winning this series, they have done.
So far, so good then. Team SoloMid. Dyrus doing well, even with some pressure from his team, which is quite nice. But even when left alone, his minion farm never seems to fall too far behind. Level 6 now on both these solo bottom laners. Lustboy, though, ready to stab Apollo in the back. Flashless Kog'Maw, but Lustboy has all his skills available that he needs. Mid lane matchup still going fairly close, but Xiao taking a whole bunch of damage. Bjergsen so far so good in this matchup, and of course, not on Orianna. It's not like you can wait around and get 4 items and just crush people with shockwaves, so Xiao going equal in mid, not exactly an amazing thing to do.
It's continuing to zone Apollo here. Lustboy has waited so long for this moment.
And it's done.
Adrian, a good bodyguard, and Dyrus dropping pretty low on health as well, so good stuff. Huge fan vote for Team SoloMid here. And they do sit 1,000 gold up, but it stayed stagnant.
TSM's got to be careful not to vote more if they go over 90%.
The curse.
TSM loses.
Look at Impact though. Yes, Dyrus is getting back the lane quickly with his ultimate, but Impact, he's got his Cinderhole completed. He's got his smite up. Started the counter jungling. Santorin just showed on the opposite side of the map. Rush saw him try and invade at the Raptors. So Impact getting some of that counter jungling done. Some value out of that TP smite top laner.
Yeah.
Deep wards as well.
Impact's actually pretty much equal in gold with Dyrus right now, despite what you're seeing in the scoreboard being down in CS. He's killing camps that are worth more, so this top laner is scaling quite nicely, and we haven't gotten to see Shyvana versus Sion as a matchup, I believe, in the LCS. I'm actually curious to see how that heads-up matchup will eventually go, because they are in this 1v1 now. And Sion building armor, it's a magic damage top laner here. Impact's going to get a lot of damage here.
Time to fight.
Challenging smite as well. And that's true damage.
Dyrus doesn't have flash.
He has red
Dyrus
buff,
doesn't
too.
have flash. This is going to be Impact
no.
killing Dyrus one-on-one. Oh my god.
Well, speaking of things that Impulse needed to go right in this series, Impact has to assert dominance over Dyrus in the lane. Dyrus not judging the red buff Cinder Hulk completed challenging smite damage of an equal level Shyvana, and he pays the price.
He does. He pays the iron price here, and this is going to be a very good thing then. Team Impulse with some top lane pressure. We saw Cloud9 get carried by that. We're seeing Red Team ban Hecarim every single game because they're so afraid of top lane running amok.
Freak. Paying the iron price is when you are the one doing the killing.
Really?
And you take something from it.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Well, now that we're
chips
clear on
tonight.
that. Yeah.
I'm good with my references, guys.
Good try, though.
All right. Impact pays the iron price by killing Dyrus.
If you pay gold for something, then you're just buying it. But if you kill someone and take it,
You're paying the iron price.
Oh, that's...
there you go, buddy.
Oh, I learned something
Did you read
today.
the books?
No. I don't even know what books we're talking about.
Oh, God.
Oh, big time dive.
Oh my god, it's a level 5 agent, though he's got to run away from the turret, but Apollo gets the kill. Dyrus TP's in. Won't land the big axe smash, but Tip forced to run away. Point blank ult from Dyrus. Impact is all right, I'll fight you. Forces the flash out. A snowball from Rush, though, means maybe they get more, and Xiao does get it.
They have to make sure they get some turret pressure, though, because there is a two-man push in the mid lane from TSM on the other side of this one. Big-time dive there from Impulse. All 5 members showing up in lane to try and equalize the game, and they trade turrets.
Well, the Great Danes of TSM do knock down the mid lane outer. Bot lane outer goes down, back for Team Impulse, and it's Tip now with 300 gold lead.
Wow, they came back pretty strong there, and all of that begins and ends, I feel like, with Impact solo kill on Dyrus, setting him out of sync. Xiao keeping up in farm. Now Alistar is level 6 if they want to continue their turret dives. Yes, the overall theme of this composition later will be to protect the Kog'Maw, but for now they're keeping up a lot of aggression. One of the main things about the normal Juggernaut team comps is they have to be very patient because they don't really have the ability to make plays. If you throw an Alistar and Shyvana in there, you hybridize the comp a little bit to a hard initiation dive with Kog'Maw to back it up. I
actually really like this, especially when you consider the fact Shyvana can pull people out, Alistar can push people out, and there's actually somewhere to put pressure on the map that's not just the Kog'Maw hitting a turret. I actually really like Impulse's team comp in this game. We'll see how else they can play out. Of course, TSM still very close in this game. The gold practically equal, and they've still got a very large gold income Urgot and a nearly Triforced up Corki.
Remember that giant check mark we gave Impact Freak?
It's paying off.
Let's see here, though. Because there are jungle camps up.
Oh, what?
Okay.
And some minions he wants to go and grab.
So minions first, then jungle camps. All right. He's got his priorities straight.
All right, Impact will not lose turret pressure for this, at least 40 seconds.
Yeah, well, there's vision on the bottom of the map here that relied, that showed them where Santorin was. So therefore, he's just going to try and farm in between the turrets. Knowing that both teleports are down, he's safely going to try and invade the jungle and make sure he counter-jungle Santorin. The main action, though, is at this dragon.
It's a 4-on-4, and a lot of Impulse's gold is on Impact himself. Will they play around Kog'Maw? The hard engage, they catch Apollo! This Kog'Maw's in a pretty bad spot. Xiao trying to buy some time. Rush builds a lot of room as well. Apollo goes into Wild Turtle. He's actually still not down. More time to hit some attacks, but Adrian is gonna fall. 1 for 0. Wild Turtle actually knocks down Rush as well, and Impulse's 4-on-4 goes bad. A flash away.
Rush is continually chasing kills on Nunu. He has to peel for the team here. Not team fight expertise on that champion, and TSM comes up big.
Lust Boy with the flash anchor to grab the extra kill on Kog'Maw, stunting his growth even further. Can he steal this with a... Okay.
He tried.
Darius, meanwhile, deciding to farm far away from Shyvana. Good choice.
And one of the critical things of that fight, though, is the fact that Impact, the main gold bearer on Team Impulse, wasn't there. So the 4v4 trade was not advantageous for Impulse, especially when you were considering they were the ones initiating the Dragon take. So they were taking Dragon damage this whole time. With the speed shrine control, they don't actually use that to their full benefit right there. Xiao gets, once again, isolated by the great ultimate there from Santorin's Gragas. And then, look, Rush, instead of trying to stick around with Apollo, he goes chasing Wild Turtle. He doesn't have the damage to kill Wild Turtle on Nunu. It cost them big.
He did have a decent Nunu ultimate after Apollo got knocked to the other side of this team, but wasn't enough. Lust Boy answers, picks up another one. Beautiful combo there.
More effect to our replays when they don't have sound as well.
Your voice
Tell
carries
it was
all
a
the
different
weight.
match.
All right, well, Team SoloMid off a very good team fight. See themselves in a good spot. They got Dragon 1 themselves. They've got a 2,000 gold lead. They just have to worry about Impact trying to do crazy things in the top lane. Most recently, just he and Dyrus split some farm. Proxying the wave didn't seem to do much for Shyvana, as it meant he was not able to fight Dyrus anymore. Bit of time to pressure top lane out. Dyrus walking back to the lane will give time for the Surret to take damage.
TSM circling around bottom. So when he does proxy, though, the added benefit for Shyvana is that she has the smite. So she gains not only the minions in the lane, but also the income from the jungle.
Oh, definitely. And right now he sits on a 900 gold lead because of some of that jungling here. Bottom lane.
Well, they should know they have a bit of a numbers advantage right now because Urgot is off dealing with Impact Shyvana, who's just trying to be a nuisance right now.
Right now, Bjergsen is taking the red buff away. He gets his own red. Impact gets some damage into Dyrus, who now is a Spectre's Cowl, so the MR coming in finally. The Bjergot does have red buff. This is something that Impulse could time. Of course, Xiao recalling back in the flash. Snowball. Wild Turtle does have flash himself, and in comes Nautilus. A lot of slows in there, but not nearly enough done. Flash for nothing.
Rush is a playmaker. You can tell it's in his veins, but Nunu is not a playmaking champion. He keeps flashing in for these ice blasts, doesn't even burn a summoner spell from Wild Turtle after rotation, but burns everything from his own kit.
And look at this answer invade from TSM, circling around through the red side jungle, headed up towards mid lane here. Xiao's got blue buff though. He continually clears this wave extremely quickly.
Problem is all he's doing is trading farm, and Lulu, now known for his scaling, good hook in from Lust Boy.
Get him.
Now Lust Boy is
Get him, Rush.
in a rough position.
Great set of knockups, no ulti for Lust Boy. That will be the kill. The Apollo in prime position to the back line, but here comes the teleport. Xiao gets dropped down by Wild Turtle, who wants even more, as Apollo will be another kill picked up. Impact goes into can on the top side of the fight, but Rush getting chased down. A third kill for Wild Turtle, and now he wants the fourth. Impact gonna go down, no Penta for him. Bjergsen gets the fifth, but a huge team fight for Team SoloMid.
That could be the fight that puts TSM into the LCS Spring Split Finals right there. They flanked around after Lust Boy was caught, but Tip over-initiated in the own jungle there and got collapsed on hard.
That is going to accelerate the power spikes of Turtle and Bjergsen so quickly here. Already sitting on the Trinity Force. That's 6 kills on Turtle, 3 on Bjergsen.
Yeah, we know that Rush burned his flash ultimate in that attempted catch of Wild Turtle and was out of mana before this fight began.
So was Apollo.
So when they try and go in there after the kill, they are trapped. Teleports come into match, but it doesn't matter because Wild Turtle is in the flank, gets most of the damage down. Bjergsen full resources, Turtle full resources, Rush and Apollo out of the fight before it begins, and it is just a bloodbath, all in the favor of TSM.
Level 11 Trinity Force Corki. And got to land an easy Foss Bomb.
Huge damage.
He's sitting on 3,000 gold right now.
Bloodthirster.
One shot of Bloodthirster from Longsword. Yeah, pretty far ahead, I would say. It's a good time to Good time to be Wild Turtle, probably a good time to be a TSM fan as well, as these guys sit 5,000 gold up. The Dragon's up in a minute, and you got to expect TSM should have no problems claiming this objective for themselves. The swap, and Xiao with a flash engage for Lustboy. Maybe he's going to get away from this one, but a lot of damage from Bjergsen. A couple Ascenders away, but a lot of damage from the Absolute Zero. Maybe they can chase back down, and in fact, they do. Bjergsen goes down. Good escape by Xiao. Xiao didn't even have to flash to leave.
One kill back there for Impulse. However, can't really convert that into any objectives, so not too shabby for TSM. Darius even gets a decent amount of damage on the top turret.
Yeah.
I think it might give time for Impulse. 3 summoners were used in that.
It was a basic shutdown, the smallest of 3 kill shutdown, but not going to be that huge.
He's got his own damage on Darius for sure. But as far as Dragon preparations go, they're still in the favor of TSM. TSM has the pink ward control over Dragon. Darius is getting to that tanky point where Impact can't really break through to bully him anymore. Therefore, the split pushing potential, even with the challenging smite and the 3 kills, he's not really able to move Darius. It makes this roam up by Adrian a little bit questionable. I don't feel like they can do anything.
Well, Dragon's alive right now, and if Team Impulse are betting on TSM doing it, maybe they can go for the Cogmoth.
They walk through wards getting there. While there are no wards on Baron, they did walk through this
Corky is still bottom, though.
Jungle.
Yeah, deep wards from TSM being incredibly important.
Darius going to get pulverized into the wall, maybe a headbutt, but just not enough being done there. Impact going to get knocked up, and Darius doesn't care too much. Should be a quick, clean Dragon kill then when TSM do want it after they stop the rest of this pressure. Xiao gets knocked around, thankfully for him, away from Santorin.
TSM can take the Dragon at their leisure at this point, it feels like. But they may end up trying to pressure this mid lane first. They have the advantages. Darius is immovable in the top lane right now, so TSM is free to go where they please.
And where they please to knock down mid lane tier 2, so SoloMid, 6,000 gold up here. Whatever objective they want, they tend to get, and maybe now it's blue buff. Everything being taken off the map right now by these guys.
Map control. The name of the game for TSM when they have been on red side. They get that small advantage, and they don't seem to give it up. Rush was trying to get vision control. It cost him his life.
Rush down again. So, talking about taking the Dragon at your leisure. Also pick up the jungler on the way. Everything going according to plan here for TSM.
This series has been almost the deconstruction of Rush's playstyle by TSM, taking his aggression, moving him away from Lee Sin, pushing him back onto Nunu, where it just is not the way Rush plays. It's not enabling his strengths. It is showing a lot of holes in Rush's game that very few teams are able to expose this year, but TSM is punishing him for every movement he makes.
And Darius, who Team Impulse tried to punish every time. Ban the Lulu. Okay, he plays Maokai. Fine, ban the Maokai, take the Lulu. He plays Sion. Seems to be fine. Darius having enough to do in this game, holding onto his top lane decently well. Impact's got a gold lead. Doesn't seem to be showing. Darius able to survive these matchups just fine.
Impact is doing everything he can up there. Trying to take jungle camps, trying to steal red, keep pressure top, take the crabs. Crab control acquired. It's just...
Yeah, he's doing good things,
only
but
so
top
much
lane just
one
doesn't
Dragon
matter.
do.
Yeah. The one solo kill was really nice. His team fighting's been good, but every single time like Dragon's up, teleports are down. So TIP have not been able to use Impact for team fights reliably. SoloMid winning the team fights because of this. Mid lane tier 2 is already gone. Wild Turtle's going to knock down top lane outer. 4 turrets to 1 in this game. Every single measure of victory in TSM's favor so far. And Darius with teleports bot lane. The rest of the team ready to go top.
They know something's up.
Jump! Tricky by Impact. Maybe the team's going to show up here. Out he goes. Oh, by Lustboy. Impact goes down to the burn. Wild Turtle takes him out, and the fight continues. Rush takes a Lulu open only to run away. The teleport from Darius will not find much but some minions, but it will be top lane tier 2, I assume, going down. Darius, nearly knocks down Xiao, but buys him even more time to take this turret down.
This is Impulse falling apart right now. Impact had predicted so many of the ganks in previous games to TSM. That time he predicted it, but he could still not escape thanks to the beautiful anchor toss from Lustboy. Now pressure moves to Baron.
We see so many of these full collapses at the end of these best-of-5 series because they're so taxing. Whew.
That's going to be anchors away. Into Apollo they go, but he's going to run away from this one. All right. All right, whatever.
You were saying?
Yeah. Yes, these are very draining, long best-of-5 series, right? So slowly breaking down this. Okay, let's take a look at the replay. He sits in there for a pretty long time. And it looked like maybe a little bit of miscommunication. They were thinking of going with an offensive play there instead of just immediately jumping out. But waiting around that long.
They knew Dyrus wasn't there. So they thought maybe if they get the right initiation, they can pull Shyvana Lulu ult, maybe wombo the whole team down.
And that's where very, very quick decision-making has to be made. And clear calls are very important. Because a moment's hesitation like that, that's all that Lustboy needs. One small opening, and he lands another really nice anchor toss.
Oh, wow. Wild Thrower going hard. Push and rush around. And TSM's had some very good plans this game. Baron's still on the table. They've been playing the top side river for a very long time here. I guess the last 5 minutes, roughly. And they're routinely picking up advantages this way. Pink Ward in front of the pit. Doesn't spot the ones in the back, though. Impulse know there's no Baron baits really on the table here. Impact sent to the bottom lane, away from Baron with the teleport. Maybe he can make something happen, create a pressure point. There is no teleport for Dyrus, so maneuvering for TSM may be difficult. Apollo, of course, you can still sit back and wait for Kog'Maw to get gigantic.
Nice ward that Impulse has been able to sneak inside that pit. Basically, Impact would have to teleport right next to the Baron.
He's
giving up his own fate here. I think this is trouble. TSM back away.
Smites and a Nunu. TSM, what are they going to choose for? Impact goes in for Baron. They really want it. Rushes there. Red team gets Baron Nasher. That's Team SoloMid. Good luck with this fight, Impulse, because Impact's going to be going down as well. That's 2 kills picked up. Santorin survived the whole thing. 3 kills now in this one. Nobody's left standing except Xiao Wei Xiao.
2 smites and a consume, and Santorin gets it.
Another deathless game for Santorin also. He comes away with the Baron. I guess it wasn't really a steal, but the Smite War win versus 2 people, one of them being Nunu, and he survives another 0-0-13 this time around.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Big stun on Xiao Wei Xiao. Goodbye.
10-1 now on Wild Turtle, the beneficiary of so many good team fights by TSM. And a lot of that's been created by Santorin. Wild Turtle has done some solo flanks on his own. It's this, I want to say a lot of experience for TSM, but for Santorin, it's just talent almost. It's the practice he's put in with TSM to be calm in these situations, going up against that many smiters and consumes and still getting it.
This is the reason. Not sure if we've revealed something yet, so I'll keep my mouth shut. That's a secret still, I think.
It'll be with the tease. Impact comes in.
Oops.
Yeah, but look at this. It's, you can tell they're focusing on this. If Impact and Impulse just say now, everyone bursted damage to 2,000. So somehow Santorin recognized that was when Impulse was going to burst it, throws his smite in there randomly, able to pick it up, and then because of the giant gold lead, TSM crushes it.
Yeah, Rookie of the Split Santorin crushing in this series overall. You talk about deathless games, you're talking about how much he's hitting smites, we're talking about how he's doing so much heavy lifting in these team fights. And this is a dragon that will be going over without even Santorin's help. You know what? Wild Turtle can get this one. No big deal. But that's number 3 here. Movement speed for Team SoloMid. They're up stupid amounts of gold right here, 28 minutes in. And they're looking for bottom lane.
Yeah, I mean, talking about rookies of the split, these were the 2 main front runners for North America going head-to-head, Rush and Santorin. Consistency pays off for TSM. Santorin doesn't even feel like a rookie. He's so level-headed, and he fits in with TSM so well. Looks like he's going to head to his first finals with the team.
Yeah, and TSM very close to going to their 5th consecutive LCS final. Dyrus would have gone to all 5 if they close this one out. Wild Turtle missiles. Those things are hurting.
Wow, Adrian didn't even think he needed to ult, but he did. There's the kill. There's Dyrus in. Impact will tank it, but he's slowly and Shirley losing a lot of health. Absolute Zero buys a bit of time, but Rush going to be a casualty maybe as Wild Turtle keeps putting in damage, but there's the kill on Impact. There's the kill onto Apollo one more time. This Kog'Maw 1, 5, and 3 not getting the damage output except for his passive. 2 inhibitors down. TSM looking to close this game in under 30 minutes as well. They got better and better throughout this series. 1 loss followed by 3 wins. And Team SoloMid, if they can close this game out, as they break down the base. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. Oh dear. There's another kill picked up as Adrian goes down. Final turret dropping. Wild Turtle still here. That's going to be it. Nexus going down 29 minutes and 30 seconds. Team SoloMid in 4 games heading to the finals.
TSM back in the finals yet again to face who other but Cloud9 a week from today.
Surprise!
Spring Finals 2015 matchup is now set. Team SoloMid dropping the first game, but then running through Impulse the next 3.
Red side OP today. 5-0? Or 9-0, I think, in the LCS playoffs today. But very great play by Team SoloMid. You mentioned it, deconstructing Rush's play style. And every single game looked worse and worse for the TIP newcomer jungler. Santorin putting on a clinic, 2-0-14 there, managed to get a couple of kills at the end for himself. But a lot of really good contributions by this Team SoloMid lineup.
Things that TSM had to do this series: have Bjergsen dominate, check. Dyrus, have him not lose to Impact, check. But the biggest check of all was Santorin on Rush, shutting down a lot of his early game jungling as a team, but allowing Santorin Gragas every single game. Early pressure, team fight initiations, the whole package, and deathless in his last 2 games.
Yep, 3 Gragas games in a row. We mentioned it on the PTL that we'll give Rush a check, but we're going to give Santorin the center Hulk icon for his ability to play these new tank junglers, and he found a really good home with Gragas. Early pressure was there, team fight presence was there. He was stuffing Gragas ultimates, knocking Karthus out of team fights, making all kinds of great plays. SoloMid from top to bottom, really an amazing performance, especially in this last game here.
Turtle as well has made so many improvements this season compared to last season.
Yeah.
Really stepping up. Most damage dealt for the team. Obviously, you got a lot of money in this game on Corki, which definitely helps. But strong positioning. He did flash forward a few times.
Yeah.
but wasn't.
That's always what Wild Turtle does.
I mean, I was trying to remember if he died or not. I was like,
he had 1 death. He had 1 death on Corki. You know what? I think we'll forgive him for that one. Because, yeah, he got a quadra kill by flashing in like onto a Nunu, getting a really good flank onto the Kog'Maw. I mean, TSM's ability to reach Apollo is actually quite good in these fights as well. And, you know, when your melee champions are low damage, someone's got to actually put the rest of that damage through, and that ended up being Wild Turtle, which is really impressive of him. I said it on PTL, I think it went on air, that I liken him to Uzi as an AD carry. That he will go for the aggressive plays, and as you mentioned, him getting better and better this split, I think he's approaching that mark where he's playing the aggressive AD carry style, and his risks are almost always paying off. I am really liking Wild Turtle as a player this year.
He's stepped up in a lot of big ways, and we have to make TSM the favorite coming into these Spring Split Finals. The #1 seed in North America, #1 for the whole season. 1 IM Katowice. They're looking to go to MSI and try and prove themselves on a world stage. They need to make sure they're not looking too far ahead, take control of North America first, because they have that classic matchup.
I don't think TSM ever really overlooks Cloud9, so this is going to be a really, really exciting finals.
And of course, we'll see Team Impulse versus Team Liquid in the 3rd place match next week as well. It's going to be a very fun set of games, but right now we've got Riv and Zyrene standing by at the telestrator to walk us through Team SoloMid's semifinal win.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Great cast on the day and what games we had. We didn't go all 5 like EU going crazy, but it was still crazy, especially with that pressure that Impulse was able to put on in the first game as well. Really put TSM on their backs. But as we moved on, we kind of saw that Impulse wasn't using their comps correctly, and I think what we're about to show here in this telestrator is about to show that.
Yeah,
bring that up.
This was about 20 minutes into the game. We're going to pull it up here on the telestrator for you guys, because TIP, they drafted a different composition for themselves this time. It was basically protect the Kog'Maw. But what you're going to see here is them not playing the protection comp like a protection comp. They end up playing very aggressive.
Yeah.
Now, as we roll this clip out, you're going to see very crucial parts here. Lustboy comes up from the bottom. He's going to get the hook on Rush, and this kind of like aggroes him.
Yeah.
You've angered Rush. He's going to come chase you down now. He's going to come get back that gold that you tried to take from him. Tried to take from him. But right here, this is really big because what happens is they use the Lulu ultimate on Rush to get the knock-up for the chase onto Lustboy. You can see here, Apollo is almost out of mana, and Rush is actually out of mana as well. So they don't have enough damage for a sustained fight. Turtle's going to come up from the bottom lane here on that Corki, and then the TPs are going to come in from flanked positions. So they already have the ward set up for this on the retreat to flank Apollo. So as this continues to roll out, you're going to see the damage is already dealt there because the anchor, the ultimate from Lustboy, already got onto Apollo. And Wild Turtle's beautiful. This right here where he shows that he's throwing the phosphorus bomb to lead Apollo is absolutely amazing because he was saying, Apollo, you're going to come towards me. You aren't going to run away. But they didn't have the damage. And Rush played that like he was playing an aggressive kill you jungler. He just doesn't seem to be used to the damage output of a Nunu. He's smacking people and it's hitting them for like 50 damage, and he's expecting the Vi numbers. He's expecting those huge numbers where he can take on a team, and that's really what caused TIP to lose that fight, was the over-aggression and the fact that they didn't take stock of what everybody else had going for them.
Almost a pentakill for Turtle. Also, like you were saying, that aggression. It's something that Jat mentioned about Rush. He's on Nunu. He's trying to make plays, but that's not a playmaking champion. Again, there, you kind of wonder whose call was that. We did just see Rush blow his flash, go a little crazy in the river, and then use ult just to try and get another ice blast.
And not using the Lulu ultimate on Apollo and using it for a knockup, that ended up costing them the fight there.
Definitely maybe trying to play a little crazy to throw TSM off their game, but 3 games in, playing that strong, Santorin playing well, Bjergsen playing well, it's hard to put the #1 team off their game when that's happening.
Definitely is. I was definitely wrong about calling that one there. So never bet against TSM. That's what I've learned.
Glad I didn't make any calls. I'm 1,000% as we move on. Now we're going to hand it off to Dash for a word with our winners.
Thank you, guys. I am joined by 3 of the victorious members of TSM, Bjergsen, Wild Turtle, and Santorin. So first off, guys, congratulations. Moving on to the finals yet again. You've made it there every time that TSM has been a part of the LCS, so every finals. First thing I want to touch on Bjergsen is that Jat mentioned he spoke to Loco Doco, and Loco said he expected it to be a 3-1 with you guys losing the first game. That ended up being the case. Can you offer any insight as to why that is?
It doesn't really surprise me because in the past, other than the IEM finals that we played against World Elite, even against the UAE Flash Wolves in the semifinals there, we lose the first game and then we go on to win. It's just kind of like a TSM thing where sometimes we just don't show up in the first game. Sometimes we're trying to scout like what picks they're going to play. We pick a little bit differently, see what kind of champions they're playing. And so I understand why Loco would think like that. And I think today it wasn't really something with picks, it's just we didn't show up in the first game.
Wild Turtle, that speaks, though, to your guys' ability to adapt in best-of-5 series. And if you're expecting or admitting that it's possible that you will lose the first game, to your confidence when you move into a best-of-5, saying we can go down a game, but so easily you guys have that mentality that you can turn it around and adapt.
I think all of us have a pretty good mentality. Like when we lose, we just don't like linger on for that game that we just lost. Like we just try to move forward and try our best to like keep playing forward.
And Santorin, I got to look at this jungle matchup because we saw in that first game an immense amount of pressure coming at you, specifically with the double smite along with the consume, and it definitely seemed to, shake the game up a little bit. You transitioned into Gragas in the next few games, and you started to turn all of that around. Zyrene mentioned on the broadcast that he had spoken to you about how you do your best to visualize Rush's jungle routes and be able to cut him off. How is this matchup and your experience with Rush today going to play into going up against Meteos, one of the other top junglers in NA, coming into the finals?
So Meteos and Rush, they have like completely different play styles. Like Meteos plays all the Cinderhawk champions just like I do. Like for example, TFT always bans Johnny against us, and that's also a champion that I don't expect C9 to ban. So I feel like it's going to be a completely different matchup, and I feel like Gragas was just the best champion against Rush's champ pool because he only plays aggressive champs, and I think Gragas like beats Lee Sin and all the other champs that he plays. So I just feel like taking Gragas would just like win us the early game, and also Gragas outscale us. So I just feel like because we can like mitigate the Lee Sin early game, then I just feel like we're gonna win.
to the point of champions and Gragas being a strong one, we were talking a lot on the desk about the champion select that was put forth by Impulse. A bit confused by the Cassiopeia ban, mostly because when TF was left open in the second game, they didn't go for it. They hovered it and didn't end up locking in. Bjergsen, I just kind of want to get your take on the mid lane matchup this time through, because you had to play 4 different champions, and Xiaowei Zhao, you guys applied so much pressure. Santorin, you visited so often in the mid lane and really did work to keep him down.
It really just depends on the matchups. When you're against a Twisted Fate, if you put all your pressure on the side lanes, TF will be able to assist him with his teleport. So after TF gets level 6, it's really important that we put so much pressure on the mid and we constantly keep him down, make sure he can't get outside the lane. I think for the Cassio ban, it's a champion I've played before in the LCS, I think once or twice, but it's very high priority in regions like Korea. So when they have Rush and Impact, they probably watch a lot of the LCK and they probably see Cassio as a really high priority pick. And maybe some of the champions that they were planning on playing has a hard time against it. So
now let's push forward into the C9 matchup where you're against Hai, who's known for having a slightly shallower champion pool. Might not give you as much trouble in terms of needing to know as many matchups there in the mid lane. How confident are you going into that mid lane?
I think I'm pretty confident. Not that I'm just going to beat Hai, but because I know a lot of the things he plays. We've been scrimming C9 for the last 2 weeks, I believe, and I think we have a pretty good grasp on like their play style and their champion pool. So I definitely feel like it's a little bit less of like a wild card where I feel like Wei Zhao will pull out anything, anytime, and I never really know what I can blind because he can always pick some weird counter. Like he'll play Yasuo, he's willing to play anything, and I feel like Hai's a bit more reserved and he has a champion pool that he plays, and it'll be easier for us to prepare for it.
So we did have the opportunity to see you counterpick 3 times being on red side there in a row. Wild Turtle, can you offer any insight as to why the team opted to choose red side in that third game, not in the first and fifth, even though we didn't get to the fifth?
We wanted red side because we got the counter pick mid, and if they're on blue, we get to see 4 of their picks too. So it really helps us getting the last pick for mid or like anything. So just having 2 picks over 1 on purple is like pretty beneficial too, because if they take, let's say Lulu, we can take like Maokai and like Gragas or like a priority pick. I just feel like purple is a lot better because the more priority picks we can get.
All right, Bjergsen, you like to jump in on that?
It's also because when TFP played against Gravity, they picked purple side, and we wanted to make sure we weren't going to have all 5 blue side because maybe they had some really good preparation for that. So it was also kind of a security that if they pick all purple side, we still have 1 purple side game, because we have a lot of strategies on purple side and a lot of purple side pick ban that we wouldn't be able to pull out if we were 5 blue, obviously.
Doing your homework there. That's nice to see. Wild Turtle, back to you, because we had Doubleless on the desk today, and he was talking about the state of 80 carries in the game right now, being relegated to more utility-type champions unless the team is going to invest every single resource into you as a hyper carry Kog'Maws or something like that. So I just kind of want to get your take on how you fit into TSM now with this meta as it's evolving.
I would say, yeah, it's kind of more of a utility-based role now. You just kind of sit back, farm until you get like 2-3 items, and then you start saying, okay, I'm kind of strong now, maybe we can team fight now. And then that's basically how my role is right now. And I think for TSM, it works pretty well because usually we just do, like, our playstyle can go like mid, top, or bot. And I feel like if we play independent bot, we just outscale the other bot lane because our top laner and mid laner is so versatile. So we just, like, after we go even bot, they just help us with their lead.
And when it comes to you and Lesboy in the bot lane, I want to look at how you guys feel about lane swaps, because as we know, C9 can play those very well and likes them quite a bit. So we saw Lesboy actually pull out the Nautilus level 1 invade, keep him from double jungling on the other side. Was that something he picked up from Lemonation 1? But how comfortable are you and him in those 1v2s and that you'll come out on top?
We've been scrimming C9, so we do that to each other pretty oftenly. So like we know, like, I think our 2v1 and C9's 2v1 are pretty similar right now, so it's just whoever plays it better right now.
All right, Santorin, when we look ahead to that C9 TSM matchup, this is a finals that we've seen before. And as Bjergsen just mentioned, you guys have been scrimming each other for the past 2 weeks because you're on opposite sides of the bracket. Well, now you have to play against each other. So does this mean that it's back to the drawing board and you guys have to come up with a whole slew of new strategies that you haven't been showing them in scrims for the past 2 weeks?
I feel like we still want to keep the same strategies and stuff. Like, we'll always get a new one too, of 2 or 3, but also maybe we'll pick up a new champion or something like that because they will not know about that champion, because right now we both know each other's champion pool. We know how they play. We know lane swap. So it's definitely gonna be like who plays the better that day, because we both we play really well.
All right, finally, Bjergsen, I want to ask you. C9 TSM, last time we saw this summer finals. We're seeing it again. However, it could be said that you guys were the underdogs going into the summer finals last season, being 1 seed lower, essentially. What is the difference between this TSM now and the TSM that went into the finals last summer?
I think one of the major things is definitely that Lustboy and Turtle have been playing for a lot longer. Lustboy is a lot better integrated into the team. He speaks a lot better English now, so the in-game communication is better. We have 2 analysts working with us. They're also in the house right now. So I feel like our prep is better. Our overall team communication is just better. And I think just we needed more time as a team. We just had roster changes in that split. So we were picking up what kind of play style we're going to play, what lanes are we good at playing to. And I think now we're a much more well-rounded team.
Well, the infrastructure is there. We'll see if it manifests with another victory this year. I want to congratulate you on this victory here in this series, qualifying for finals again, and thank you for being on the desk with me. Now, for some final thoughts on the series, let's check in with our guys on the caster desk.
Thank you very much, Dash. Guys, 3-1 TSM, as they predicted. I guess their coach coming in with this one. Bjergsen put on a great performance. Dyrus held up against the big pressure point of impact in the top lane. Didn't seem to cede many advantages there. Santorin beat up on Rush pretty darn well, and Wild Turtle was always where he needed to be.
Santorin and Lustboy.
Lustboy
did a lot of jungle work, actually.
That's true. You're right.
Early on in the game. But honestly, moving forward for the TSM Cloud9 game, I guess it's no surprise, but I'm really looking forward to the jungle matchup. Santorin versus Meteos, they are so much closer in styles than Santorin and pretty much any other North American jungler. They both really like Gragas right now, for one. I guess almost all the top North American junglers really have adapted to that. Yeah. But that's definitely going to be a much more highly contested pick in the finals.
That's true. And also just thinking about the team styles in general, C9 won a lot of the semifinal games off of Balls, off of the fact that Balls was doing so damn well in the top lane. His Hecarim split push in games 1, 3, and 5 were all very, very good. We've seen that TSM were able to handle that, though. They were able to handle Impact's top lane pressure. Will they, stop Balls' pressure here as well? And I think that's actually quite likely for them. Similarly, for the third place match, we saw, top lane pressure didn't work for Impulse, but it, did work against Team Liquid. Like even just like on a team style matchup perspective, these other 2 matches next week can get very different.
And the 2 teams that lost the semifinals do have to keep up their spirits. I mean, if we look for Team Impulse, this team still grew substantially throughout the end of the regular season. And just because they couldn't beat the best team in North America doesn't mean that they're a failure as a team. They still have a big game coming up against Team Liquid, and they have a lot of reevaluating still to do. If we look at what Team Impulse did wrong in this series or things that they'd want to adjust, I think getting Rush on champions that he is good at and fit his playstyle is priority 1 for them.
Yeah.
Xiao, I saw a joke that he just rolls a D20. Hope he rolls better next game because he needs to perform in that series for them to take it home and get 3rd place. Championship points are a big deal.
Yeah. They still have to play for championship points. 3rd place gets 20 more points, I think, than 4th place.
Definitely matters in terms of your attempt to go towards Worlds. And the one other storyline I think is really important for this 3rd place match is Team Liquid, I think, have a set of players that can break the curse. These guys, I think, have a very real chance of finishing in that 3rd place match. If you really want to consider them the same teams, it was Curse versus LMQ last time around. That was a spot at Worlds. It's the same, at least, LCS spot. It's still Xiao over there, and it's still Quas Dominate and Special over there, so there's still some of these remnants here, but one more time to break the curse. And TL are looking better than they were, right? Their semifinal was damn close here. Maybe they do have a good series up against Team Impulse. It's going to be a great series either way. Next weekend's going to be awesome. For now, we're going to send it back to our analysts to close out the week.
Thank you, Freak. Let's recap a little bit here, that crazy series that we just saw, starting a game down for TSM, running it back 3 games, but still with a lot of pressure there for Impulse. So I don't want to count them out as they will be playing against Team Liquid in that 3-4 matchup. But thoughts on this series here?
Yeah, I think TIP can definitely show that they're still a very powerful team. They had some, I think, strategic just misplays as a team, but also pick ban and side choice is very important. The fact that they picked red in the previous series over and over again, and then they didn't pick it here was a really big flag for me because they ran into it like they had strats for red side, not so much blue, and then it showed right there. But also their pick ban and adjusting in a best of 5 is something they haven't shown to be very good at just yet.
Yeah, Double F, maybe you can speak to TSM's preparation a bit, because with Bjergsen on the desk, he mentioned that they did their homework in knowing they took one red side. because they may have been forced onto blue multiple times, and so they wanted to make sure that they put themselves in the position to utilize all the strategies in their playbook.
Yeah, oh man, TSM's homework was really good for this series. I mean, just coming from the 2v1, which is a lot of how they got those 3 wins, was an early game advantage that just snowballed and just never let up. So part of that is in the 2v1, TIP would essentially leave Apollo to 1v1 Dyrus, right? So it's not really a 2v1 anymore. It's just your duo lane is now support and Shyvana, or support and Lulu, and now your top laner is a Kog'Maw or an Urgot. And most of the time, TSM's homework told them, okay, like, we're just going to camp Apollo and screw him over and make him go down in CS. And that's why you saw Wild Turtle have a much higher impact in these games, more pressure, is because he had a higher CS lead. And a lot of times Apollo would just die early game and make the game really hard for TIP to win.
Well, a lot of that pressure there in the top lane came from one player. And once again, we're going to highlight a player who distinguished themselves on the Rift today. That player is, of course, Santorin. He stood up to the double smite pressure and helped his team reclaim their 5th consecutive appearance in the North American LCS Finals. And if that wasn't impressive enough, he made it through 4 games, only dying twice.
Yeah, it's his first time in the LCS, too. He came straight out of Challenger over from Europe, and he's just been constantly impressive. The fact that he's able to pick up these champions, even before their meta, is really good. Like, he was playing Nidalee before it was meta. He started, like, grinding Evelynn, grinding Gragas. He's really good at these champions, and the fact he's able to pick them up like that is huge for TSM. And also, I bet against him, and I have to apologize because he proved me wrong. I didn't believe him, but good job, Santorin.
Yeah, and I think it's really also funny to consider that he came from the 10th place team in LCS Coast, and now he's on the best team in LCS, and he's just able to adapt and I feel learn how to play with TSM, despite the fact that, I mean, joining such a big team from a challenger team must be really difficult to kind of acclimate yourself. There's like a lot of public spotlight, and you're working with a lot of different personalities that you weren't working with before. He seems to mesh with TSM really well in just the span of 1 split.
And we saw that Lustboy feature too. TSM definitely helps their talent with that, and I think that's a great thing that a lot of teams should look at and try to do for themselves.
Yeah, we saw in the very first feature of the day, as you mentioned, the way that TSM works to integrate their new players is fantastic, and Bjergsen giving props to both Lustboy, Santorin for being on the team this year around and just improving as a whole, thinking it's the best TSM team they've had yet. I might agree. But now that we know who will be playing in the finals, let's take another look at the playoff bracket. And the more things change, the more they stay the same. For the 4th split in a row, our finals will be a battle between Cloud9 and Team SoloMid. Then once again, facing off for 3rd place, it's Team Impulse versus Team Liquid. Our top 4 teams are guaranteed a minimum of 30 championship points, but every team with an eye on Worlds will be looking to bank more championship points that will take with them to the summer split. Of course, we will be back next week with those important deciding matches. Our championship week coverage starts with an all-new primetime league on its regular Wednesday at 4 p.m. Pacific time. And then on Saturday, we'll be bringing you our 3rd place matches starting in the European LCS with SK Gaming versus H2K Gaming. After that, we'll bring it back to North America for Team Impulse versus Team Liquid. That will hit your browsers at 8 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, 5 p.m. Central European Summertime. Now, before we go, I want to get you guys' thoughts on those matchups that are going to be playing out next weekend. Let's look first at that 3rd place matchup between Team Liquid and Impulse,
Yeah.
who just played today.
Impulse just need to kind of clean up their out-of-game strategy and their meta coming into it and find things that Rush is going to be able to play in the meta. Because I thought he did a really good job when we saw him previously playing things like Rek'Sai, snowballing early, then building Cinderhulk. And Liquid, they need to get in a best-of-5 mentality. Both these teams really need to work on their between-game adjustments in that series. That's what both teams need to do if they want to walk away with the set.
Double Lift, I know you were hammering that home, the idea that Liquid might just be a team that can't deal with best of 5s and the format and the mentality that it requires to approach that format. Do you think they can, within 1 week, make the changes they need to in order to come out with that win?
I think so, yeah. Actually, Team Liquid is really impressive to me. I think their dynamic is really strong right now because they have the 3 veterans with Xpecial, Dom, and Quas, and they always seem to play pretty well, like relatively well. And they have the 2 kind of superstars with Phoenix and Piglet. And I feel like right now, those are the 2 superstars you really want. Like mid and AD carry dictate the pace of the game very well right now, especially with this kind of solid backing that they have, where it seems like TIP is a lot more inconsistent, and their game plan is a lot more easy to read. Phoenix and Piglet are just so strong. I would say Team Liquid should be able to win.
Yeah, and I want to see, once again, the Piglet versus Impact matchup for that third place.
Of course, world champions, former teammates, world champions up against each other for that third place. Now, TSM Cloud9, let's hit that real quick because we've seen this matchup before, but the teams have changed a bit. Cloud9 definitely looking a little bit more mortal this time around going into the finals than they did last year, and Team SoloMid looking strong as ever.
Yeah, a lot of synergy there. Picked up Santorin since the last time they fought each other in the finals. So right now, I do agree that TSM looks the strongest that they've ever been, and Cloud9, they've been a little shaky here. The fact that they also played all 5 games as opposed to 4 here, and TSM looked like they had control of the entire series. So that difference, I feel like TSM are coming into it with a little more momentum, but the fact that they scrim each other all the time, it's who can pull out a new strategy that's surprising in those finals.
Double F, thoughts?
Yeah, for me, it's not even that Cloud9 looks mortal. It's that they look the most mortal and vulnerable than I've ever seen them in any playoffs. Like, they were undefeated until last split, and then it was like a really close series in the finals against TSM. They had like a really, really close, even closer series against Team Liquid, and that was just in the semis. So I feel like they're the most vulnerable that they've ever been. And TSM, yeah, like you said, they're very consistent. They showed really strong today, so it's probably going to be TSM.
Yeah, definitely gearing up, though, to be an exciting finish to the playoffs this year around. Well, finally, Double F, I'd like to thank you for joining us on the desk today. Your insight is always much appreciated. Now, for myself, the casters, and the entire live broadcast crew, we'd like to thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week. Good night.
Team SoloMid versus Team Impulse. It is the defending champions against one of the hottest teams in the league. For one, crazy fights. Santorin comes in, gets a second kill. Revenge for Bjergsen, chase on Apollo, flashed away. Wow, out of misses, rocket number 1. Oh my god, Dyer's getting caught up as well. He explodes, 2 kills in a row. Team Impulse looking to use these buffs to close the game out. Now, 1/3 of the way to the finals for North American LCS.
Apollo. Keep going down. I'm gonna ult here.
Holy shit.
I'm going top, I'm going top. Bjergsen fairly low, but Impact gets shut out by the hook, and Adrian will follow as well. It's a 4-kill fight. Lustboy nearly falls down. The Polymorph doing a lot of work, but Apollo gets Santorin. A rocket comes out the back, and Wild Turtle's going to kill as many as he can. And that's the game. Team SoloMid fires back.
He was here last season too.
Oh, really?
This guy always cosplays as Graves.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He just really likes Graves. Relax.
I know. He kind of looks like Graves too. Dude, he's making sure his gun stays intact.
Did he grow a beard?
It says,
Rap
Darius,
god,
you're a
rap
rap god. All the the top lane be like,
Darius is a rap god.
yeah.
Gonna follow him soon into the death chambers, and now Apollo, nice build to keep himself up. Impact gets a stun, but it's a 3 versus 5. A little bit of damage comes through. The tankies are pretty big though, and Apollo's gonna be killed. Wild Turtle does trade back. 80 carries are gone, but it's still a 3 versus 4 in TSM's favor. Team SoloMid now 1 game away from their 5th consecutive North American LCS finals. A 3rd kill for Wild Turtle, and now he wants one more. Impact gonna go down. No penton for him. Good luck with this fight, Impulse, because Impact's gonna be going down as well. That's 2 kills picked up. Santorin survived the whole thing, and surely losing a lot of health. Absolute Zero buys a bit of time, but Rush gonna be a casualty, maybe, as Wild Turtle keeps putting in damage. Team SoloMid in 4 games, heading to the finals.